But then if I hadn't gotten the chartership, I would still have gotten the job because of the projects that I had worked on, the international project that I had worked on, and the exposure that I also had. And the softwares that I had also used were very critical in terms of getting the role. So the seniority came because of my chartership, but then every other thing was ticking the boxes in terms of being a cost consultant and practicing globally as a cost consultant. So that basically is my journey into how I ended up into the Dubai role. Now, not say that I did just one interview. I had literally interviewed for 5, 6, almost 7 roles before landing on this one. And most of them were I was either being declined because they had gotten somebody else who was already there in the country. Because initially, when the whole um, process started, they wanted someone on site, even in the Dubai role. But then the rest, you'd find that they required some numbers of years of experience, or they would find someone who was already there, and it was cheaper to have somebody already there getting the role as opposed to relocating somebody, because there's a very huge cost in terms of relocating as someone or a professional into starting the job into that particular country. So as that is basically in a nutshell how my roadmap has been in terms of getting this role. And I've really insisted in terms of getting the RICS chartership. Now, over and above that, you will find that we have construction managers within this setup, and we also have people in real estate. In real estate, yes, chartership is also something that you need to work towards, and there are all these pathways that you are able to follow immediately after campus. You're able to become chartered. Now, for construction managers who might end up being in project management roles, again, there are pathways that you are able to follow to get these particular jobs. There's also the certifications in case you become a project manager. There are other certifications over and above RICS that you can do so that you are able to become marketable and to also become globally recognized. And the CVs are so many that go out to these recruiters, extraordinarily many. So what makes you stand out is what extra thing are they looking for to make you globally recognized and to actually believe that your degree is able to, or rather you as a professional, you are able to seamlessly understand your role as a QS on a global scale. And so you find that having the RICS chartership and reading through those documents and getting to understand best practices as per RICS is something that the recruiters are really looking at, especially in the entire of Middle East. It's a very important paper because over and above being just a paper, you'll realize as you're studying for your exams, as you're studying to get chartered, as you're looking into all this documentation, the best practices are so well and clearly defined that you're able to tell when things are going wrong from the onset of a project, whether you are at pre-contract or post-contract, because it is very well stipulated within the guidelines and the documents that RICS have put out there. So I'll mention a bit in terms of some of the advantages and disadvantages that I have experienced, because I've been there. This is my 7th month, interestingly. Yeah, 7th month. Yeah, I got into my 7th month this May. And yeah, so some of the challenges, especially being on a remote role, let me start with the advantages. There is a very good, in terms of exposure, you find that you are exposed to so many, number one, cultures and people, because currently my colleagues are, I have colleagues from UK, I have colleagues from India, I have colleagues from Pakistan, I have colleagues from Zimbabwe, South Africa, Egypt, Ireland. So you get to experience people on so many different scales, so many cultures, extreme biodiversity. Like it's very diverse cultures. So, and you get to learn how people work, because everybody has come from different trainings and different backgrounds. And so there's so much to learn when it comes to working globally and working for an international firm. Then the exposure in terms of projects. The number of, when I compare the projects that I was working on while I was still in Kenya, and the kind of projects that I am working on, and the kind of detailing that is required, including by the client. So again, you are exposed to clients who have an entire team basically peer reviewing every single detail of your job. And so how detailed your job is also goes a notch higher. And I will not lie, because sometimes in our industry or in our local market, you'll find that detailing comes later, when maybe you are on site, and that is when you're getting your construction drawings as the project progresses. But then in this particular case, you find that the most projects, depending on the contracts that you're going to sign with the contractors, you find that most of the design is so well detailed. By the time you get into tender, you have volumes and volumes and volumes of information that needs to be looked at, that needs to be costed, that needs to be put properly in as you're going into the post-contract section of it. So that kind of exposure is something that is so good, and that also tells into who you will be, even as a professional, if you decide to come back home. And even if you deal with local projects, you know exactly what you need to look at as a professional. Another one is accelerated learning, because now, due to the exposure, you get to learn so much. You get to learn different standards of measurements. You're getting to learn different standards, even in terms of design codes, because different countries use different building codes. So again, you get to learn more of that. So you're just adding on to your knowledge of construction and the things that people are doing out there, which most of the time you'll find that, for example, in the local markets, we refer a lot to British standards. Yeah. Now we have other standards. So we have other standards. You'll find that, for example, for me, currently I'm working a lot with Dubai codes, Dubai standards, including the levels of excavation. They have their own levels of excavation that you need to refer to, you need to start from. So that kind of exposure, I'll tell you, is priceless. And then the biggest thing, the money. So honestly, in terms of the jump on the money, it's worth it. That's all I can, I don't think I need to expound on that. It's really worth it. So yeah, I know. That is what everybody was waiting for. That's what yeah. So yeah. So yeah, I can see that. Okay, thank you. And that is where I'll end in terms of my advantages. So the disadvantages, I'll start with being remote can be very lonely. I will not lie, especially if you are an extrovert. I am a proper extrovert. You only talk to your colleagues at very specific times, and most of them you're talking on emails, on Teams chats, and the like, yeah? And so you have to find people to talk to. You have to network. Actually, networking is a thing, especially when you're working remotely. So get to know, so that you can also understand what people are still doing, within the industry, within the markets, exchange notes. I talk a lot to Arthur. I also, as much as I can, get to know what people even here locally are still doing, so that I have a better understanding, that way I don't still lose what I had learned before, what I knew before, so that I can compare with what is happening there, and also exchange notes in terms of what have I learned out there, what is it that I can bring back here, right? Then the discipline of remote working. So Dubai are 1 hour ahead. And so as we speak right now, it's around 8. Yeah, it's around 8:40. So I have to be working from 7 a.m. in the morning up to 4:30. Now, there's nobody who's following you up in terms of, are you already working? Are you in the office? What are you working on? So it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of self-drive, and a lot of learning on your own, because again, everybody is very busy. The work is a lot. I will not lie to you, because yes, the money is very good, but the work is also numerous and a lot, and very huge volumes of work. So guys are busy, and so you have to be very very driven, such that you're able to ask the right questions. You're also able to teach yourself things, so that you're not just asking things all the time. So that's one of the things that I've really come to learn. So those Excel formulas, if you're learning, I had to learn an entirely new software on my own through reading books, listening to training videos, and asking a lot of questions. And all these things, you're learning them on the job. And so there's no time for you to first settle in and learn. So it's all about you. All right. Then there's the whole thing of time zones. So for me, I'm talking from a Dubai perspective. There's someone else who'll be in the UK, there's someone else who'll be in the US, Canada, and the like. So again, the time zones are a serious issue, because you will be talking to somebody, and I'm working with someone who's in Australia, and we are around 6 hours apart. So you find that if I'm setting a meeting, I have to be very considerate. If they are setting a meeting, they also have to be very considerate. So that is something that has also been sort of a challenge that I've come to adjust to. And then you're talking about, again, holidays not being at the same time. So guys were celebrating Labor Day the other day. I was working from 7 to 4:30. We don't have Christmas. I had to take leave last year. So it's part of your leave days. Yeah. So this is a different case scenario for me, because I'm in an Islam, or rather Muslim country. And so in May, end of this month, I will have an entire week of Eid. I believe Ada is also going to celebrate the same. That is one of the advantages. But then when it comes to my holidays, I didn't have any Easter to celebrate. I was working. So if you do not want to work, you have leave days, and you have to take your leave days way early, so that for planning purposes for the entire company. All right. So there's that. Again, the biggest issue as we speak today, normally I have a home office. I have set up a home office. KPLC decided today was that day where they were going to have a blackout. So I had to find somewhere to work. I had to pay for a space to come and working. So again, Dubai, there are no blackouts. So anytime I tell them there's a blackout, they're like, what? Oh, that's a thing. Oh, there's a Wi-Fi issue. That's a thing. So again, you have to be very, very keen in terms of those things, and be very vigilant and quick in terms of acting, because sometimes power will go at 3 p.m. or at 1, and there's a deliverable. Something needs to go out. So there's a power cut. You need Wi-Fi. The software requires very strong internet connection. Anytime these guys are looking for you, you need to be available. Again, if you're not available, what happens? So you have to know what's the next step? Immediately power goes out. What's your number? What's your plan B? So always have your plan B there. So that has also been another disadvantage. All right. And then just the minutes I got the job, people used to work so fast. Up to now, today I was working on an entire bulk earthworks bills of quantities tender stage. I asked somebody to assist because I was working on 2 plots. This will be my last example and all. And then, yeah. So I was working on, there were 2 plots. I was working on 1 plot. Same scope of work. This guy finished the job within 4 hours. All right. An entire BQ was done in 4 hours to detail. There was piling, there was bulk earthworks, shoring, all these things were there within that particular document. I finished my document after 7.5 hours. So there's that whole aspect of what is it that I'm doing wrong? How is it that I'm not able to work as quickly and as fast as these guys are doing? So after I was done, he had already left. So tomorrow, the first thing I'm going to do was ask him, how is it that you counted all those piles with different depths, different diameters, different everything, and completed the entire scope within 4 hours? So there's this entire imposter syndrome where you feel like maybe you're not there yet. And what is it that this guy saw in you? So you still have that, but always get to learn and know what is it that they're doing differently and how can I catch up quickly? Because I'm 7 months in, maybe I should also have certain aspects of me that, I need to sharpen on. So those are some of the things, that's my roadmap. Those are some of the advantages. That is how I got there. That is how I'm doing in a nutshell. And that is it in terms of my presentation. And I'll be open to questions either now or after. I stand guided by Edwin. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peris. Can we have some reactions? That was so very insightful, and we will have time for Q&A. But if anyone has a burning question, yani swali yako huwezi achilia, utasahau, you're free to raise your hand and ask your question. We will take 2 questions, and then we invite other to take over the next session. And I'd like to congratulate you guys. We are at 76 maximum members, and let us reach 100. Hii ni moto, hii ni ile ukikosa you've missed out. So tell a friend, mwambie ndio tunaanza. So anyone with a question, a burning question that unaona itapotea, you can ask.
Sorry, Edwin, as maybe someone thinks of a question, just something to add and clarify. You don't have to have gone through or worked on international projects to get these jobs. I have enough friends who have been in normal local companies within Nairobi and in other parts of Kenya. And with their RICS papers and chartership, they've actually managed to get, and also their certifications on project management. You'll find that like PMP also gives an edge in terms of people practicing project management. So you don't have to have worked on projects or in companies with that international exposure. So yeah, my path is different. And I've seen a question on software. I don't know whether to answer that now or later.
You can answer it now. Shortly.
All right. So, okay. One of the questions that I actually got during my interview was the softwares that I had gotten exposure to. And they were really looking at someone who has used Costex, because the software that I'm currently using is quite similar to Costex, but then with any exposure in terms of any other cost management softwares, you'll find that you're easily able to align. So I was using Costex, in my previous firm, in the previous firm that I was working in. I had also used Autodesk Takeoff. I had used Dimension X. And in terms of build preparation, I had used WinQS. Currently, I'm using an internal software by RLB, which is called ROS 5D. And so it's a software that does the measurements and generates the BQs at the same time, which is something Costex also does. But then RLB have customized it to be very specific to their requirements as a company. So currently I'm using ROS 5D. And so it's a software where we are able to work you can
Thank
work
you.
anywhere, yeah, with it. Sorry, Edwin? Can you still hear me? Oh, okay. Or maybe we lost Edwin. But yeah, I'm able to work remotely because of the software as well, because you can work anywhere using that software, and you're also able to collaborate on the same platform up to 10, 50, whatever people. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Edwin, you're
Peris, for
back?
that.
Oh, yeah. All
Yes, I'm
right.
back. I had a connection issue, but I'm
All
back.
right.
I see we have other questions, and they will be answered. We have Q&A session at the end of our webinar. And also, I've seen someone asking about rigs. We will have Philip Mashare. I don't know if he's in, but he will clarify on that. How do you get the chartership and all that? Allow me, thank you so much, Peris. Allow me to welcome Collins Arthur, who will take us into the next session. And he'll be handling actually experience working abroad. And you will hear first experience how it is, how it feels like, and you can gauge for yourself and decide, am I down for this, am I okay for this. Unajua kuna vitu unasikianga zinaitwa we call it stories za jaba. So we have what we know in theory, what people tell us, and then we have the reality. So Collins will be telling us the truth, the ins and out of working abroad. Karibu sana Collins. We can have some reactions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Edwin. Can you see me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. So let me share my screen. Actually, Peris and I were wondering if we should just have a discussion, or we just, we just have an open discussion. But yeah, Peris, you've done a good job. Now, after that, I don't know how my discussion will be, but I'm a Gen Z. So, no, I'm not a Gen Z. I'm a millennial, and I understand most of you are Gen Zs. So I will try to blend in. I will try to, how do we call it, to identify as with you guys. Yeah. So as Adadi has said, my name is Arthur Otieno. I'm cost manager. I'm a senior cost manager at a company called Karen Brown here in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. Riyadh is the capital city of Saudi Arabia. So cost manager, you basically involve in cost planning, right from feasibility studies. Then you do the cost plan. I know this we barely do this back in Kenya, but this is quite a common thing here, where you do your cost planning from the different stages of construction. And then after that, then you'll start with concept, then you go to schematic design, then you go to detailed design, and then you go to the construction stage. So as Peris had said earlier, the roles are really quite distinct. In Kenya, you're used to doing the whole project. You can do from pre-contract to post-contract, but because of the scale of the project, you'll find that most of the time you are either pre-contract or post-contract or a contract administration, because the scale of project you're doing cannot allow, you can't be able to do valuations and still do another BOQ because it's pressure, it's a lot of pressure. Okay, so my slides have pointers, but again, I'll just also try as much as possible to, talk on in addition to the points that we have, so that I'll try as much as possible to give you the information that I have. So I'm one guy who is really passionate about the digital transformation in the construction industry. I have 9 years of experience. We were classmates with Peris. And I think I've seen Mara in On Call. It's one of the people I challenge that you need to make sure you're also, just appraising yourself on the digital front. I hope you're doing that. And then I've been in case in Saudi Arabia for 1 year, 1 day. Today is 1 year, 1 day. So it's interesting, yeah. So I'll just share. You can see my screen, right? Yes. I'll share my experience on working abroad for the 1 year that I've been here. And just my experience is I came here as a professional. So obviously there's you guys know all this. There's a perception when you hear someone is in Saudi Arabia, because of obviously what we've had before, and people who've come here to do the odd jobs, But so this is one thing I really just came to my mind now. It's actually not even in my slides, but I would want to tell you that there's a difference when you're a professional and you come in as a professional, and you come in with when your company has, you have come in, you've done your due diligence. You've looked at the company. It's always advised that when you're coming in with an international company who adheres to the international standards. UK are really specific on things like slavery, modern day slavery, and bravery, and we do those as trainings, and you'll be trained to make sure that you're constantly keeping appraised. So these are some of the values that even RICS, if you go through the RICS, some of the values that RICS also upholds. So if you need to make sure you're joining with a firm that is RICS chartered, because they have to stick to the standards that RICS upholds. Otherwise, they would be deregistered. So these are some of the things you need to look at, so that you don't just apply. You need to have targeted applications. Okay, so I'll share my experience for the past 1 year, and then we'll hope to engage further on that. So as I mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, when you work abroad, first thing is you'll work with a diverse group of people. And you'll actually understand how different people are taught in school, how people I'm giving all hearts to South African QSs, to be very honest. The education they've had is really good, particularly have worked with friends who went to the University of Cape Town, and I've written it in my goals that I'll make sure I take my kid to the University of Cape Town if they would be interested in doing any construction related course. Yeah, but they are really taught really well in terms of they are really serious on you, not just being taught on what you do in school, but also they make sure that those I think there's a monthly time that you need to spend going to site and visiting site and understanding. So by the time you're done with school, you actually have a whole idea of how construction works. So you're not just quantity, you just don't know how to take off, but you've never seen blinding. Some of us, I saw blinding when I was in third year, when I went for the third year attachment, and that attachment, I'm the one who actually looked for it. But in this case, the school makes sure that you are every single time visiting a site or getting the site experience a certain number of hours a month. So this makes them to be, you see someone who has 3-4 years of experience, but their understanding of construction technology is top notch. So you'll get to deal with such people. Not that we are not Kenyans, as also we have our own unique values that no one has out here. We've realized that, and they're realizing that Kenyans, we are hardworking. Kenyans are really hardworking, smart working, name them. So we push ourselves. We want to work beyond, the norm. You just don't want to just be there. You just want to work over and above, you get. And I think I would challenge each and every one of you as students. Don't just want to be where you are today. And I think that's why you want to come for such webinars. You want to upskill yourself, get yourself appraised on what's happening. So as that is one skill, being curious, being someone who wants to come up with new ideas. That helps us all a lot. I see that a lot in Kenyans and also as Africans. Yeah. So yeah, you get to work with diverse people. I've had the opportunity of working with Sri Lankans. They're very good QSs, and so that as a result, it uplifts. It helps you to just push yourself to work better. Yeah. One of the things that we have these calls with Peris where we sometimes think that we have been in the industry for 9 years, but you're feeling just inadequate, like because people who you are working with are at a certain level, you get. And it's a good challenge in life. It's always good in life to always have that one person or those people who are challenging you. They always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Okay, so this is one thing for me. I actually put it number one there because this is, for me, one of the things that hit me really. Like, people are a step ahead. So you come back home and you have to go to YouTube. You have to, you want to appraise yourself more. Okay. So then the other thing is I've gotten the opportunity to work on unique and big scale projects. And as I told you, that's why it's really hard for you to do both pre and post contract, because you probably be working on very, very huge projects, and you're expected to be very precise, very precise. So clients are really they really drill into the work we've done. So and you've never been in a position where, because you find this schematic. I'll just use the ones we are used to: concept design, schematic design, and detailed design. And sometimes there is even pre-concept design. So you do pre-concept design, and most of the time in this international and these big projects, you'll have in betweens. Like, you have 50% of concept design, 50%, 100% of concept design. Then you go to schematic design, 50, 100%. So there's that progression in your cost planning and your preparation of estimates. You will be grilled to a point that you have to explain what changed between excavation that in concept and excavations in schematic. They want to see that shift difference to a point that you have to say the number of columns have increased or decreased. And people who are QSs, because QSs sitting on the client side, are actually grilling you to that point. So you really have to be very precise, and you really have to be very keen. This is where, when you say you're keen to details, this is where it's tested. Yeah. So it also just helps you to, I think this is part of the growth process. Growth is not easy. It's painful. But at the end of the day, you say, wow, after 1 year, I am a better QS. Even when I'm doing a BQ for a bungalow, I am raising 100 RFIs for a BQ for a bungalow that is that small, but keeping the architect and the engineers very, because we want to close out most of the things before you go to construction. In Kenya, we want to keep on designing as we build, but here we want to lock, because most of these contracts are lump sum contracts. Lump sum contracts is whereby you the contractor is given the opportunity, is given all the drawings, all the specifications, the QSS, BOQ, and he's told, you need to make sure that your drawings, because essentially they'll take up the risk. The client is selling the risk to the contractor. So what that means is, if the contractor misses out anything, if for instance I've undermeasured substructure and the contractor misses out, then they take the risk. They'll be, unless it's something new on design that will be as a VO, as a variation order. Anything else, the contractor should have studied the drawing, should have studied the quantities, we should make sure that they are aligning. So it's sort of you have a scenario where you get a lot of tender queries of asking you about where is this thing measured, so there's a lot of, you have really need to be precise, because of the processes that run here. And then the other thing is you get to learn new technology. When you work on international projects, I was part of the team that Peris had mentioned that we were working on international projects before we came here. And I've seen, I mentioned Mara. I don't know if there's anyone else you've worked with. So Mara was my former colleague. He works at MES. You, Cresta, you need to handle him and make him do some of these talks when you need students talks. Anyway, Mara, sorry for putting you on the spot. But this is in a way unique. When you work on this international project, you get to learn new technology. I got to teach myself and teach others how to use Costex software, and as learning from it and using it with time, I got to become better with time. You know, when you teach others, you become better with time. And I got myself into doing IQSK webinars and with time training other people. And that is one thing that when I came here, actually when I wrote in my CV that I'm a Costex super user, that is one thing that actually made me to get the opportunity to be interviewed. But this is something that I actually started learning by myself. You do those late nights, early mornings. You do those tempted failures 100 times. And as a result, you'll fail so many times, but eventually your skill grows. And something that I've realized, something that you learn when you fail so many times, the moment you hack it, you'll never forget. You will never forget, because that procedure that you actually make to get there, you'll never forget. And then you get the opportunity now to teach others so that it actually sticks. So you get to learn that. You get to learn quicker ways of doing things. Yeah. So we work in such a way that and because we stick to international practice, we follow international measurement standards like NRM, new rules of measurement. POMI is also universally recognized. But you see, you get to find a way where most benchmarking is I don't know, we don't do benchmarking a lot in Kenya, but benchmarking is the process whereby you compare your cost to other projects. How does it compare? Like what is the efficiency of your building? You've heard about wall to floor ratio, and all these things. You get to be grilled. What is your external facade to floor area ratio? So clients are really specific on these things. So this, you realize it's just not about quantity surveying. It's more practice of you're becoming financial. You getting your financial skills in order. So analytical skills, you are actually tested when you do this kind of thing, and when you work on such kind of projects. So then you also focus on, as this I think we mentioned, you either do pre and post contract because of the scale of the projects. And then also I think I touched on this. Clients are very professional. So how these things are is, you'll find that the client office has a whole range of professionals. They've employed a quantity surveyor. There's a commercial arm who has a quantity surveyor, and they are grilling your work. So here, sharing your BOQs in Excel, in Excel or in table format is such a norm. Yeah. There's nothing like, actually this the other day we were discussing with my boss, where does IP come in? Like, where does intellectual property come in? Because now we are sharing everything. You get, so there's that happens a lot. And as mentioned, your cost plan is sent to the architects and the designers, and they're actually given timeline to review it line by line. So you can imagine, this is not as Kenya, where when you get to construction stage, unaulizwa QS ni nini uliallow, you get, and probably most of you are students, but you'll get to understand this more when you get into the industry, because your drawings are, you're given drawings and they're not complete. You have to make a whole ton of assumptions and all that stuff, but that doesn't really happen when you're working on international projects. Peris had mentioned this: the pay is worth the sacrifice. The hard work you put in, obviously now you also get to earn much more than you had done when you in Kenya. Obviously, being abroad, you don't get the privilege of having a community. You have to create a community of here. So for me, the first few months were really lonely. But I love them. Like, I really loved just being indoors a whole day, a whole Saturday. Niko tu indoors. Yeah. The weather is also a bit hot sometimes, especially between May, when I came here, May and up to September. It gets really hot before we get into winter. Winter now it starts becoming cold, and yes, life also happens at night because it's too hot during the day. So life happens at night. Now for me, nimefika I'm at that age, nimefika ile mwaka yenye siwezi funga kamba viatu kama nimeinama, lazima nikae chini. So mimi ile ukiniambia kama I am at home by 9 pm, hiyo hakuna form. Ungeniambia mapema nilikuwa nafaa kutoka by 8, 9 ikinipata nje sawa, lakini if I'm already home by 9 pm, it's a done deal. Like, hiyo siku hakuna kuenda nje tena. Sasa life kama inaanza 10 pm kuendelea, now it's hard, yeah, you get. So it's, maybe you get Gen Z's would be different for you, but for me, those are some of the things. If life happens at night, and at night I'm so tired to go out, it is what it is. So yeah, yes, in being abroad, the cost of living is also not as in Kenya, in Kenya, it's the cost of living is a bit high. So if you ever get an opportunity, make sure that you do your research well, and also you're getting a good enough amount of money to be able to, save up and do your investments, even as you live in a high cost of living, because everything is modern. You get modern cars, you get, like technology. Here I can't survive without a smartphone. You get, everything is on smartphone. Like, literally everything is digital services is on my own phone. So you rarely need to use cash. You rarely need to, have this your ID in physical form. You get, but you still need to have them, but you rarely use them because everything is automated. If it's driving, you get fines are instant. Kama kamera ilikupiga uki speed, instant. You'll get a message ukifika nyumbani, you need to pay a fine, and you pay it. If you don't pay, you can't get clearance to leave the country. So you have to, these systems are working. Eventually, like, the systems are working, so that's the other good thing. Yeah, so you get to, as I'd mentioned earlier, because of the international practice, you for me, one of the things that have really pushed me to the edge is you work in a particular way, in an organized way, and you see, after some time, after you've done your work, you're just happy at what you've done. So how do you position yourself if you want to work abroad? I just thought about this, and I'm like, so how do we are students, obviously, and you're seeing lots of people going out and being successful out there. How do they position themselves to work? How do you position yourself? So these are just few points, and just as starters to warm up your minds. So the first thing is one, just getting the necessary experience is really good. Like I would advise that once you're done with school, don't be so quick to you can have it in your mind, you can have it in your vision board, but don't be so quick to jump out, because as we mentioned earlier, you'll be segmented to a specific um, part of the work you get. You'll be pre-contract. So if you've never like done a project end to end, well, you still get the opportunity of visiting site, and but you can only visit. There's someone who is stationed on site, who is involved in site meetings, who is involved in doing payment certificates. So if you just pre-contract, these are some of the things you may never get to do if you just come out of school and go in a scenario where you won't be doing that bit of it. That notwithstanding, this is just this market of the Middle East. I know UK have projects where you can run projects end to end. You can have such arrangements. So there could be exceptions where you can have the opportunity of doing a project end to end. But the scale of projects that are being done, because the small scale projects are done by local companies here, and local companies, most of them are just employing the local people. So you find that the experts who are in country are doing the giga projects because they need to really apply to the professional standards. Then appraise yourself with the best practices. So even as you're learning, we never get to read about things like IPMS. IPMS is a standard where you use to it outlines what you need, how you need to measure your areas. You along the line you learn about gross. I know you've heard of gross building area. So there's a gross internal area. These are, and forgive me if I'm too technical, but some of these are like you measure the standard that guides you on how you need to measure, do your area measurements, for instance. Because you'll find that now when your work is being interrogated, you get to a point where you now need to understand which standard did you use and which standard did we use. So we get to a point where we need to align on such things. So if you're not aligned on such, then you don't get the opportunity to you can start learning these things before you get the opportunity. It's free to learn about these things. Then you can, I know we use the SMM a lot, and you can see SMM is quite old. SMM is I think it's a 1968 or something edition. I can't remember. 2008, June 2008, if I'm not wrong. I can't remember correctly, but NRM SMM has evolved in the UK. It evolved to SMM7 until now. It went to NRM1 and NRM2, and these are specific. They're being used on specific projects, and you see that just learning on how these rules of measurement work will help you to, even as you read SMM, just get to understand what else is out there. Because these rules of measurement, you're able to even code them into the BIM, and you're able to put it into your building information modeling, and you get into an understanding of how the cost estimating dimension of BIM works. So you can always start teaching yourself and listening to podcasts on these things, and that helps you to quickly you start being enthusiastic about wanting to know more. And then obviously learning new technology, I will always tell you, free trials are always free. So try, if you can get Costex free trial for 1 week, if you can get a Revit free trial for a certain number of days, try and see what it does. Then it will not help. 7 days is not enough, or 14 days is not enough for you to learn something wholesomely, but it gives you an opportunity. It stirs something in your heart that you want to now be where you are now using it. There you don't have to crack it, or you don't have to use a free version, okay? And then just be prepared for opportunities. Be on the pathway. You don't have to have risks, but risks you can always be on the pathway. The understanding is RICS is a bit expensive, to be honest. So it's not something you want to get when you earn a Kenyan salary because it's quite expensive. So you can plan on this as I mentioned, put it on your vision board, and then just keep having it at the back of your mind. Yeah. And also always as you prepare yourself, ask yourself of what value can you offer to your employer, of what value can you be, and through that you can know how to do quantity surveying, but the additional value that you bring is what makes you to stand out. Okay. And that slides nicely into what Albert Einstein said, that strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. So for me, it's always want to be of value. You can learn to do the technical things, but always ask yourself, what additional value can I bring to this group of people? Edwin told us that he's in I forgot the I think he's CAS or something. He's adding value in addition to his normal studying. It's helping. It's that simple thing he's doing is of value already. CSA. Thank you, Edwin, for the correction. So you need to ask yourself, what value can I be? It can be something as simple as out there, but that's been my experience. I don't know if there were you were expected for me uh, uh, to do something different, but for me, I think what I would also say is also for me, I'm a born again Christian, and I've also seen God in the journey. Like God always holds your hand whenever He takes you. So it's also a good thing that you constantly also have listened to what God is telling you to do in your life. Then that helps you to, be able to discern. Yeah, because you don't just pick any opportunity that comes your way. Make sure you're picking up, because I've had friends who, especially working for a contractor. When you come and work for a contracting company, you'd probably be working from Saturday to, you'll just be resting one day of the week. And you really don't want to, you want to be sure, do you really want to work that thoroughly where you're only resting one day of the week? So there are those instances where you have to say, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe I can do that for 1 year, 2 years, but maybe I don't want that. Peris said he's in a company that gives you leave days. I'm also in a company that I have leave days and I have to take them, and they encourage you to take your leave days. And because you've negotiated a good deal, you take time to travel back home and say hi to people, so that you're not like ule aliendanga hajairudi for 2-3 years. Come back home, get to the challenges, get to use the public transport back home, to me matatu, realize when you come back, your mind is reset and realize, as much as everything is working here, you still remember that your country has potholes. When it rains, you need boats, and that in essence inspires you to work hard and just to think back home, so that unakumbuka Kenya walisema wanaenda Singapore, lakini ni kama sahii wana sink hapo. So these are the things that when you're negotiating for an opportunity, make sure you do your due diligence, ask and grow your network. You need to talk to friends. You need to one of the things in the construction industry, you get work through referrals. So make sure you getting you working with, you have a network that people can refer you. You can show them how you work. It's hard for me to refer Edwin, because Edwin, I've never seen you. So if you approached me on LinkedIn and you texted me and you told me, are there any opportunities there? It will be hard for me to refer you. I would tell you if I don't know, I would tell you, this is our HR, maybe send your CV. If you ever get an opportunity to interview, sell yourself out there. And if you are good, then good luck. But if somebody I've worked with and I know, that one I can vouch, because when you bring in someone, then if it's a bad recruitment, then it's that burden is on the person who's referred you get. So it's always good, grow your network, make sure you having people, even if someone is not like someone who will refer you, but they can actually always mentor you or coach you up on what to do. So I think I've stolen 3 minutes. I've spoken for that 3 minutes, but if there are any questions that you want to understand or dig deep on, I'm open to it. So Edwin, I think this is where I give baton back to you.
Thank you so much
Edwin,
for that.
there or am I there? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for that session. We can have some reactions to that. I had asked that we ask our questions here in the chat box so that during the Q&A we can go through them. Yes, anyone with a question, kindly, we will give you this platform to ask your questions. We have anyone with a question? And as we wait for someone to ask a question, is Philip Masharia in?
Hi, Edwin. Yes, I'm on the call.
Okay. So we can have a question, and then we go to the RICS presentation, because we had someone who had asked, how do you go about getting the RICS certification? So Philip will be answering that question. Anyone else with a question? Anyone? Okay, so the chat box is still open. If you have questions, kindly ask so that they will be answered. Thank you so much, Collins, for that presentation, for that wonderful sessions. I believe we have learned a lot from both the two speakers, and Philip will be taking over the third and the last session, or the second last session, then the Q&A, and he'll be discussing more about rigs. Though we have had Peris mention rigs, Collins has also mentioned rigs, so we need to understand how do we get this certification, and Philip will be answering those questions. So thank you so much, Collins. Karibu sana, Philip. We can have some reactions as we welcome Philip into the next section.
Thank you very much, Edwin, and good evening, everybody. Allow me to extend my gratitude to QS Peris and QS Edwin for being gracious enough to take you guys through their real experiences and their journeys to the point where they are. And one thing that is central to their story, especially when it comes to bagging international jobs in the countries that are currently stationed in or working for companies based there, is because they are chartered surveyors. And for this particular purpose, chartered quantity surveyors. By way of introduction, I'm Philip Masharia. I am a chartered surveyor myself, but my pathway is a valuation pathway. So I am a chartered valuation surveyor, practicing at Knight Frank, Kenya, and I am also privileged to be the current chair of the RICS Matrix here in Kenya. So allow me to share my small presentation that I intended to share with you. So basically, it's about RICS and how you, as potential members, can take advantage of this opportunity so as to open up opportunities for yourselves to practice in other jurisdictions, just like Peris and Edwin are currently doing. So RICS is headed by a president, this Nicholas McLean, and one of the things he says about people like you, students, who looking forward to charting their careers and also having an impact. He says, as future professionals, you have the power to influence the built environment and leave a lasting legacy for generations to come. And I believe from the past two speakers, you are able to see that they are actually having their own impact. Say 5, 10 years down the road, they'll look back and will be able to provide a whole portfolio of projects that they did sweat out alongside other teammates to bring to reality. And it will be something that I'm pretty sure will be very proud of themselves for. Now, RICS stands for Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. It's a globally recognized professional body. And what it does is that it sets and enforces world-class professional standards. I believe you heard Peris talking about the APC process of getting registered and how it sort of directs how she carries her work, because the process is very well enumerated and helps you to provide the highest sort of services to your clients. It also enforces world-class professional standards. So besides setting the standards, RICS ensures that its members do follow those standards to the letter, again, for the benefit of the public, because everything we do is for the benefit of the public. It also regulates and supports professionals in land, property, construction, and infrastructure, and also promotes trust and professionalism through ethics and qualifications. So it's a double sort of approach. You have the technical capability, the qualifications. You all are very good brains, and I have no doubt that each and every one of you is very capable of being chartered in the very near future. But beyond that, it is keen on ethical practice, because I think that really does make all the difference. And if you really are not grounded, ethically speaking, then you are compromisable. You are a person who is prone to making very uninformed decisions, so to speak, and therefore you endanger everyone, and you end up not protecting the interests of the public, which is cardinal in this matter. So when you become MRICS, you stand out as a trusted expert, just like Peris and Edwin are, who delivers confidence to clients, to employers, and to the public. By way of numbers, there are over 142,000 professionals and candidates globally at the moment. This is 2026, of which 112,000 across the world are fully qualified professionals. So they have the designations MRICS for professional members and FRICS for fellow members. And RICS has its members spread across 140 plus countries in the world. And therefore, it goes to show you that the world really becomes your oyster. You are able to move to so many places on this continent, rather world, so to speak, and you will find opportunities by virtue of being a chartered member. By way of regional breakdown, in our region, if I could narrow down to that, that is MEA, Middle East and Africa, we are just around 8,096. So it points to a lot of opportunities for you guys. And as Edwin and Peris have actually transitioned to the Middle East, I have 4 of my colleagues at Knight Frank who have transitioned to the same region in the past 2 years. And the main qualification that has enabled them to make that shift is actually RICS. So it goes to show how important this qualification is for you if you are to pursue opportunities abroad. So I began by telling you that I'm the chair of the RICS Matrix community. So it's an early career community. It brings together you, the students, those who have graduated recently, those who are pursuing registration as chartered members, and also, sorry about that, and also those who um, have been registered but have not clocked 10 years beyond registration. The whole essence of it is to put you all in one pool where you're able to share ideas, share resources, sharpen each other, so to speak, and bring out the best in each other, while also providing you with an avenue to network with like-minded individuals who have more or less a shared vision for their professional life, and also get to keep yourself updated with what is happening in the market. I was listening to Edwin talk about SMM, and it appeared like he was talking of probably what you guys are taught in college, but he's telling you the NRM1, NRM2 is really what will make you or rather will set you apart out there. So unless you are actually in such a community where someone is willing to share such knowledge with you, then you end up wondering why you're not getting the sort of opportunities your peers are getting out there. But it's because really the knowledge has not been passed to you, and there's no platform for you to access that. Surveyors are involved in the whole life cycle of the building. I think I need not bore you with that because the speakers here have sort of elaborated the pre-contract like Peris is doing. Then there are those who are the post-contract and all. So you are involved in the whole cycle of the project, and then some of our colleagues like the commercial surveyors will come in as property managers, some will come in as facilities managers. So there are so many avenues for all of us to participate in a project from the point it is conceived to the end of its life after it's done its bit. So some of the projects that surveyors have been involved in include Dubai Expo 2020. I think our two colleagues here, Peris and Edwin, can tell you that was a real big deal. So surveyors led that, and it hosted participants from 192 countries, and they led by managing costs, the land strategy and project planning, and it is actually one of the world's largest and most ambitious international events. I think the next one should be, I think, in Saudi in 2030, if I'm not wrong. Of course, we all expect it's going to be bigger and more appealing. And I am pretty sure that there are quite a good number of chartered surveyors who are involved in bringing that dream to reality. Then, for those of you who are football enthusiasts, the Tottenham Hotspurs pitch over 1 billion in pounds. That's in the region of 170 billion Kenya shillings. 62,000 seat stadium, and it is run by a chartered surveyor. So why should you become one? Why should you join ranks with Edwin and Peris, who've just presented? It's because these are professionals who do, amongst other things, help shape the future. So creating solutions for the challenges that face the world today. And if you thought through the quote that Edwin shared, I think as he was nearing the end of his presentation, like strive not to be a success, but rather be of value. Really, there is money out here, but money chases value. If you are able to solve a solution, then the public is willing to pay top dollar for that solution that you are offering to the problems that they are facing. So if you position yourself properly, then you are bound to make a very good career out of your practice. So becoming a chartered surveyor, of course, gives you the professional status. People respect you when they get to realize you are chartered. They trust you because they have worked with chartered surveyors before, and they know the quality of training you've undergone and the capabilities that you have as a professional, and they have faith in the quality of your output. In the UK, a survey was done, and it actually marked that it gives people a career advantage. And even here in our region, it's beginning to, even for us who are still in the country and have not ventured out there, you find yourself having better bargaining power when you're chartered. Of course, it gives you global opportunities like what we are discussing today, daring abroad, and Edwin and Peris, a clear example of what that particular qualification has enabled them to be. And RICS is anchored on the premise that it is important that a professional continues sharpening their skills, sharpening their knowledge. And so continuous professional development is central to what we do. So every year we log in our CPDs, both formal and informal, and we have the prescribed bare minimum to ensure that each and every one of us keeps updating themselves, keeps themselves abreast with what is happening in the industry. And therefore, when clients get our services, they are getting services of people who are very well informed and are giving them the latest in terms of the output. And again, it gives you a community. Like I said, RICS Matrix that I chair is a community that allows you to fellowship, so to speak, with like-minded individuals with shared visions for their professions. And it enables you to network, become aware of opportunities, jobs, internships, and whatnot. So after you graduate, there are several routes to becoming chartered. You can begin as an associate member of RICS. So this is open from your year one of being a graduate. Then there is the APC route, Assessment of Professional Competence route that I used. I think Peris said she used that. That allows you to present case studies. Case studies in this realm are actually actual work that you have done. So what they do is you present your project in a prescribed format. They are able to see whether you are checking off both core competencies and optional competencies that are related to your profession. And they also have you present your statement of experience, which really is what relates to all those core competencies. So A person like me, valuation is a core competence. I would do it from level 1 to level 3, probably property management, land leases, measurements, also key for me as a valuer. And level 1 is basic knowledge. Like you guys are in the university, if you have learned something in the university relating to cost estimates, and you are aware of, say, NRM2 and how it should be used, that is level 1 of understanding. Level 2 is application of that knowledge. Level 2 is application of that knowledge. How are you applying the knowledge you acquired in level 1? And level 3 is decision making. Now, how are you coming in as a professional to offer sound advice, solve problems, and provide solutions to your clients as a result of having the knowledge in level 1, the practice in level 2, and in level 3, you are now providing the actual solutions to the persons that you're serving in the profession. And then ethics, that is very central. So each and every one of us does a module on ethics. You read through on the online platform, the online assessment platform, and then you do multiple question test that has questions. There are 40 of them there were 40 of them when I did it myself. Some questions could even have 2 answers that are correct, and you are supposed to, check off everything that you think applies. The thing is, it is not a very easy exam to pass. I've seen so many people sweat on that particular ethics exam to actually attain the bare minimum pass mark of 30 out of 40 marks. And if you are able to work through that, so you have your case study, you have your statement of experience and ethics in place, you submit that for what we call pre-assessment. So the examiners sort of go through your submission, and then they give you a pre-assessment result after the evaluation. So you're actually being shepherded towards passing, because someone is sort of screening your work to tell whether or not you are ready for the final interview or not. So for the final interview, it is normally a 1-hour structured interview that begins with your case study, statement of experience, and then they'll go to other general questions. And in this region, it's mostly held online, so it's a Teams interview. And after that, if you are successful, then you receive your designation and you practice as a chartered surveyor. So, like I said, the APC is a structured process that shows you've developed the right mix of 1, technical expertise that is in your pathway. For you guys, it is quantity surveying. Professional ethics, also very key, and also levels of competence. That's what I was talking about. Level 1, knowledge. Level 2, application of knowledge. Level 3, decision making. Then you have what RICS is looking for when they are enlisting you guys as members. 1, they are looking for you to be technically competent. That is a bare minimum for each and every chartered member, but also to be a good ambassador of the profession. So when you go out there, I really enjoyed the sessions by Peris and Edwin. You are able to represent the profession in the right way before the members of the public. It also requires you to be aware of professional and commercial implications of your work. So any decision you make out there, you should be able to own up to the resultant outcome, and it is required of each and every one of us that what we do is the right thing at all times. You are also required to understand your clients' and employers' objectives, have up-to-date knowledge of legal matters because you also don't want to land yourself in trouble unnecessarily, and also have the confidence to work unsupervised. And thankfully, you have Peris here working for a firm where her colleagues are spread across the world, yet she's working from the comfort of her home. So what do you do next to become a chartered member? Because you guys are students, I would suggest that you start by becoming a student member. Student membership, number one, is free. And then, okay, sorry guys, let me just let me just help someone here. Sorry, you have to juggle all these balls at some point in your life. So, yeah, the young ones need their father. Sorry about that. Student membership is free, like I said, and what it comes with is access to resources. So you have journals, you have comprehensive insight to support your studies. You get to know the latest in the profession, see what the most outstanding members of the profession are doing in different corners of the world. And of course, you have career support. RICS actively posts job opportunities across the world. So on that platform, then you are able to see where you can sort of plug in or send your CV for consideration for you to join Edwin and Peris in daring abroad. And on the bottom right end of my screen, the one that I'm presenting right now, you'll see a QR code that I would hope that you can scan because that leads you to the website where you can start the process of being registered as a student member. So it's a two-tiered process. So one, you register, get onto the system, and then now you go to the next step where you register as a student member, and you're able to enjoy all these advantages that come with being a student member of RICS. You can screenshot the current page so that you are able to work on it in your own free time. So thank you so much. I hope that in a very summarized way, I've been able to shed a bit of light on what RICS is, how it is of benefit to persons who are members of the same, and how you as a student can plug in starting now as a student member, and then progress towards becoming a full member through the various routes that are available. Thank you so much. Back to you, Edwin.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Philip. We can have some reactions. So thank you all for staying with us up to this moment. We have some questions in the chat box. I believe the first question was answered. Which software do you use? It was directed to Peris, and it was answered. We also have had the second question from Boniface, which has been answered. How do you go about getting the RICS certification? We also had a question, how is the cost of living over there? I believe Collins answered that while he was presenting. And then we have a question from Thomas Ngoge. He's saying, if RICS is more important for international jobs, is there really need to do Borax? We can have Philip answer that. And then there's this question by Frank, which is, have the QSs taken roles in contract administration or it's mainly costing? Yes. We can have Philip answer the question on between why do we really need Borax, and then we can have Peris answer the question on have the QSs taken role in contract administration or it's mainly costing. We'll start with Philip.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. Allow me to say that I believe that having both local and international qualifications is of utmost importance. Reason being, like Edwin put it to you, in our local context, we do things end to end, and you sort of get acquainted with everything end to end. At the international level, there happens to be significant level of specialization. So you find yourself doing only a bit of the entire work. So I think starting with Borax is very important. Also, if you do not venture out internationally and you practice here, then it is impossible for you to make ends meet when you are not registered with Borax. Again, I would encourage you to register with Borax because Borax has done something that is very good for you QSs. It's reached an agreement with RICS where RICS recognizes the training that Borax takes its members through when they are working towards registration. And what that does is, for those who are registered as full members of Borax here, Quantity Surveyors, then their process of being chartered members is shorter. In fact, what you need is a letter of recommendation from Borax stating that you are registered and you've gone through the requisite training. I believe they provide a logbook that shows what you have been doing, sort of, a journal of what you've actually been doing in terms of actual work. And number three, they sit the ethics exam, just that. So it waives these other processes of presenting a case study, statement of experience with both optional and mandatory competencies, and also sitting for the hour-long interviews. So it it has a significant benefit, and I would propose that you consider doing it as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We can have some reactions, and then Peris, you can take on the other question on have the QSs taken roles in contract administration or it's mainly costing. And then we also have a student by Shadrach, and I believe he's also speaking on for other students where he's saying, I'm still a student searching out for attachment. Can you help me out with referrals? Yes, any of the speakers, you're welcome to tackle that. And then we have Thomas Ngugi who's saying, my flowers to Peris, Arthur and Philip for lighting the tunnel before we get to the end. Bigger, that is an appreciation to you guys. So we can have Peris answer that. And then Gil, I'll ask for you to put your question in the chat box so that we can, because we have limited time. Yes, Peris, are you still present?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, when you're talking about contract administration, is ensuring that what was planned at pre-contract is what was properly planned at contract is well executed at post-contract. And so in terms of differentiation, you'll realize that when I started, I said that I am a pre-contract QS, and so is Arthur. So yes, quantity surveyors do contract administration, and mostly the bulk of the contract administration is done by post-contract quantity surveyors. All right. So, and they are mostly site-based, project-based, because of the magnitude of projects that we tend to handle on a global scale. You'll find that a project is very big. However, you can have one QS handling a project, the contract aspect of the project, in maybe for one client in various projects. All right. So yes, QSs do contract administration, and mostly it's usually at post contracts once the project goes to site. So after at the pre-contract level, there is putting the documentation together, and there's also now coming together and doing the award and selecting you in which contracts and how to go about the contracts documentation aspect of it. So once the award is done and all, then you have the bulk of valuations, ensuring there are no disputes on site, ensuring variation orders are done, ensuring you releasing valuations, final account procedures, and the like. All that is part of the contract administration aspect of a project, which is mostly done at post-contract. And I'd like Arthur to chip in if he has something.
Yes, I think you've basically outlined it well. So basically, what Peris has mentioned is during post-contract, the contract administration role is really huge. So if you go to LinkedIn, you probably see some of these companies like Mace advertising for the role of commercial managers. And if you look at what the commercial manager is doing, is there's also a bit of contract administration in that. So there's a huge difference in this market between a commercial manager and a cost manager. So yes, quantity surveyors can still be commercial managers and they can still manage contracts. So yeah, it's just that it's huge for you to, so you'll be specialized on doing contract administration. You'll just be making sure that you either going through the claims and looking at if there's any substantial backup to it. If, as I mentioned earlier, contracts are lump sum. So any orders, variation orders that are issued is in addition to the design that was not part of the design, then it needs to go through a process, a change order process, which the contract administrator has to come. Sorry, my camera is off. Has to come in handy in making sure that that is put in place. So yeah, we quantity surveyors can also be construction contract administration. And as I mentioned earlier, advice is just in line with what Philip has mentioned. Just focus on, it's good that you make sure you go through the process of getting Borax, you get that learning, that experience of doing project end to end, then you get to know where even your strength is. Then after that, you can be ready to step out and say, I think I enjoy post contract more. You enjoy analyzing JBC, and giving interpretation of clauses in the JBC. JBC is a green book used in Kenya. If you've not been able to interact with it, I think you should be in school. So then that gives you an opportunity to learn to know that. I think apart from measurement, I also enjoy interpreting contracts. So then you get to even to a point where you upskill yourself in that direction. Yeah, so that's my addition to what Peris has said.
Thank you so much for that. We can have a round of applause. Thank you. For anyone who this is related to what Shadrach had asked, for anyone who, for a student who is in search of attachment opportunities, do you have any recommendations or referrals that you can give them. Collins, yes.
Oh, for me. So you want? Unfortunately, I'm not there locally. I'm usually not in Kenya. So getting an attachment might. I'm slowly, because I've been away for a whole year. I'm slowly, and I keep in touch with what's happening in the market, but I may not have a referral at the moment. But if I get an opportunity, I probably speak to Edwin to, maybe we can organize for you a site visit, or something you might do. But a referral, I might need to speak to some of the contractors I've worked before. If they have sites that are working, then we can see how we can be of help. Let's take that offline with Edwin.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, I will follow up on that. If any news come across you guys, Collins, Peris, or Philip, sharing them will be an advantage to us, and we will appreciate that so much. So we have come to an end of our webinar. We thank you so much, guys, for your cooperation and for your participation. But before we end, I'd like to have to closing remarks from our very own. He's a fourth-year student. He was the former president of CSA. And as I said in the beginning, CSA is a student platform that encompasses real estate students, quantity surveying students, BCT and BCM students. And we offer things such as site visits, which Collins has mentioned, where you go on site and you actually see these things that we are taught in class physically, and you attend them. So I'd like to welcome Kevin, as we know him as captain, and as he gives his closing remarks, he'll also give his vote of thanks and speak more on what we have as CSA. Karibu sana, Kevin. Is Kevin in? Naona ni kama kuna yes, ni kama network issues inaleta shida kidogo, but he wanted to talk about an event which we are hosting as CSA. We have CSA Gala Dinner, which will be happening on June 6th, I think, yes, 6th June. It will be happening in Utalii Hotel, which is along Thika Road. And we are in need, or we are in search of sponsors. We have various packages which I can send to your emails. You can also decide to sponsor students and participate. Also, those who are currently in the meeting, we have students, we have professionals, we have graduates. You're all welcome to that event, to that dinner. Yes, the charges are for students is 2650. I don't believe I am familiar with the other charges, but yes, the minimum is 2650 for students. The others is as you progress. But if you're interested, kindly you can reach out to me. Let me send my number. It's in the chat box. You can reach out to me for more information, queries on that. Yes, I believe that is all. Thank you so much for taking your time, Collins, Peris, and Philip, for sharing your insights, your experiences, talking to us about what it feels like working abroad. And it has helped us to actually visualize it. It's becoming a reality, something, an achievable dream, and not just building castles in the air. So we are really appreciative of that. We look forward to more webinars like this, where we can gather students and enlighten them, and you guys can share what you have learned, which will also empower us. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much to my fellow students, to the graduates, for also attending this webinar. God bless you all. Yes, have a fruitful rest of your week. Thank you. That is all. We can all leave. Asanteni sana.
Thanks, Edwin. Thanks so much. All right.
Thank you so much.
Good job in
Thank
moderating.
you. Good evening, guys.
Bye.
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 we can leave the rest of us.